Mr. Feagin, you're here to prove that Miss Pinkston is your biological daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim you kept this secret for 40 years, but now say the DNA will prove your case.
That's right, Your Honor.
Miss Pinkston, you stand before me without any doubt that Mr. Feagin is not your biological father, and the man who raised you is.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Miss Pinkston, what upsets you most about Mr. Feagin's claim that you are his biological daughter?
Well, Your Honor, I met Mr. Feagin here when I was 16 years old. I never knew of him, never heard nothing about him. And then all of a sudden one day, my mom decided to take me with her to a friend's house. My mom calls me to the dining room. She goes, "I want you to meet somebody." They get to talking to me, Mr. Feagin, and my mom. Then my mom just says, "Hey, by the way, this is your father."
Who did you think your father was? Did you know your father?
This is my father, Mr. Gus Pinkston. This is who I've known my entire life.
So, and he was married to your mother?
My entire life.
And so you grew up believing this is my father, my biological father?
Yes, ma'am.
And it wasn't until this moment?
This has been my biological father for 43 years. When I was 27 years old, my biological father passed away.
Mr. Feagin, start from the beginning. I want to understand why you believe Miss Pinkston is your biological daughter.
Me and Miss Pinkston's mother had an affair. We worked together at a plant. We got to know each other.
You spent a lot of time together.
A lot of
Because you
time
worked a lot of
together.
hours together.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Did you know she was married?
Well, yes, at the time, it was wrong what we
How long did the affair last?
5 or 6 months, maybe somewhere. I mean, she came to me before I left the job and told me that she was pregnant.
When she told you, did she say, "And I think you are the father,"
She
or you
told me
might
I
be?
was the father. And she told me we're going to keep this a secret. Well, then we knew we had to be quiet because she was married.
And they knew it was wrong for what they did to my dad.
She did not want this secret to get out, and you agreed.
I
She
agreed.
was married.
I agree.
So you knew that this child would be born into the marriage, and that this other gentleman, the man that
Gus.
Miss Pinkston believes is her biological father, would raise Miss Pinkston as his own.
Yes.
Miss Pinkston, as a child, you always thought your mother's husband was your biological father.
That was my father.
No one ever told you anything different.
No, Your Honor. The only reason why this all came out, for the cat to get out the bag, is when I was 16, they told me that Kenny was my father. The only reason why was because my mom thought I was dating one of his family members, and that's why they told me. But needless to say, it was not me, it's my sister that was dating his family member.
Oh, and so they felt like they needed to tell you because you were dating your cousin.
Yes. When they told me about it, that was like the worst day of my life. Because my mom sit down, she goes, "This is your father." I'm like, "No, my dad is at work, so what in the world are you talking about?" And next thing you know, there's tears everywhere. Everybody's crying. It was pretty much the worst day of my life. That was it. It's the worst day of my life.
And you're 16 years old?
Yeah.
Yes, she was.
And I can see it hurts you right now.
Oh, yeah.
Just thinking about it. Did you not want to believe it, or you just...
I didn't believe it.
She, to this day, Your Honor, she does not believe that. That's why I am.
Did you ever talk to your father, the man you believe is your father?
My dad passed away never knowing the secret. From the time I was 16 until I was 27. We never spoke of this subject, ever.
So at 16 years old, you were called upon to keep this secret as well?
Yes.
And you had to. You never spoke a word of it. You all asked a 16-year-old girl to keep a secret like that, Mr.
No,
Feagin?
we did not. I did not ask her to. Her mom insisted that this would stay between us and her when we told her. She was raised by Gus there. And I know how much she loved him. She never would call me her father or...
I never called my father because my father died. So it never felt right to call some other man dad when my dad passed away.
And I understood that, Your Honor. I did. It hurt me that she couldn't. And for all these years, I believed.
Your Honor.
I always thought he had some kind of inkling that I was.
You felt like he knew?
It was just a feeling that in my heart that I felt that he had to know something because I loved this girl so much.
Did you have an occasion to meet her father, the man she believes?
A couple times I met him. Yes.
You did?
Yes.
He used to come out to the house when my dad was alive. And
Mr. Feagin used to come to your house when your dad was alive?
Yeah.
I did. I did, Your Honor. I did.
But
As what? And what were you posing as? A family friend?
Family friend. That's what it was. The secret was still on.
The secret was still on?
Yes.
And so you just come by the house, but you were really coming by to see Miss Pinkston?
Well, I was hopefully that she was there and so I could see her. But, Your Honor, just over the years, just having something in your heart like that, you could not tell. It hurts, like she said, it hurt
I've
her.
lived with this
It
guilt.
hurt me.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell.
I lived this guilt from 16 to 27 of never telling Mr. Pinkston that Mr. Feagin is supposed to be my dad. My dad died not knowing none of this.
Do you regret not telling him?
I do. I felt like if they had enough to tell me about it, how come they didn't just let everything out the bag and everybody sit down and everybody talk about it?
I can't imagine having to get such life-altering news at that point. What did you feel like when you were looking at the man you believed to be your father?
I was daddy's little girl. I had kids and I still lived home with my mom and dad. I never left my mom and dad's side. When it was time to fix stuff, it was me and my dad. When it's time to go to work, it's me and my dad.
Yes.
And so, Mr. Feagin, you're saying that you basically kept the secret to honor her mother.
Yes.
And her wishes.
Yes.
What was it like for you? I mean, you believe you have a biological child, you've had an affair with a woman, and now you can't even say anything or be acknowledged as a father. How was that for you?
It hurt me, Your Honor, in that sense, and just to see her do the things that a father would do. I missed all that.
So, Miss Pinkston, your mother told Mr. Feagin he is your biological father. So, what is your doubt?
I had one father, and I had one father my whole entire life, and that's Mr. Pinkston. That's my dad. Mr. Pinkston is my dad.
Was
Mr.
he on your
Feagin-
birth certificate?
Yes, me and Mr. Feagin, we never.
What is that? Is that your birth certificate?
Yes, ma'am.
Ron, will you hand me that, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Me and Mr. Feagin, we never had that father-daughter relationship ever. It's always been, periodically in my life, out my life, in my life, out my life.
So on this
Connection.
certificate of birth, your father's name is listed as Gus Pinkston Jr.
Correct. That's my father.
We had her believe that too. We had to. She wanted to keep this a secret, her mom. I could have brought this out, but due to her wishes, being married, which is wrong, we did this, Your Honor, reluctantly. I did. I went through this. I mean, it hurts to this day to hear her call him father.
When my dad passed away, it was probably a few days after he passed away, we was all at my mom's house. And Mr. Feagin, he comes over, and I had my kids there. My kids really didn't know him, but when my dad passed away, he decided to take it upon himself to tell my kids that he's their grandfather.
When you went to speak to the children, had you had a conversation with her first to ask if it's
No.
okay?
I figured it was
No.
already done, Your Honor,
No.
through her.
You thought that there was a level of acceptance. You
Right,
thought
from her too, telling them that I am her father and I am their grandfather.
But when he told my kids that he's their grandfather, my
Yeah.
kids were destroyed.
I always knew that she felt Gus was her father. As bad as I wanted her to feel me, I never got that from her. And actually, to this day, I do not have that from her because she does believe he is her father, which I believe this is, and I know this is my daughter, Your Honor. For the simple fact, it's in my heart, and I know she is.
Before we continue with the testimony, I actually have an independent witness that I'd like to call. She's joining us from her hometown. It's Miss Melissa Pinkston. Can you hear me, Miss Pinkston?
Yes, ma'am.
You are the defendant's sister, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what you know about this huge paternity secret.
Your Honor, honestly, I don't even want to talk about it. I mean, it's been this long. They should have left it alone. I love you, Tonia, but this is something I really didn't want part of. My mom was a good woman. My dad was awesome. If it was a secret, it should have stayed a secret. If you can hold it for 43 years, you should have just left it alone. Now there's family that didn't know. It just hurts.
Did you ever overhear anything?
Yeah, as a young kid, you know, when grown-ups doing grown-up things, and if they're with their friends, and, you know, sometimes people just talk and they think kids are back in the background. But it's not always like that. And I heard it, but I act like I didn't hear it.
What did you hear?
That Kitty was her father.
Who did you hear say that?
My mom and a couple friends. This is something my mom didn't want none of her kids to know. But it took for my dad to pass away, for all these dark secrets to come out that should have stayed in. And I feel, even though he's gone, it's still disrespectful. For my dad, for my mom, it should have been left alone.
And I see this really hurts you, Miss Pinkston.
Yes, Your Honor.
I can see, just listening to your sister speak.
Everybody's gonna find out because we're here. Other than that, no one would ever know. As far as my dad's side of the family, the Pinkstons, no, it's a secret that it's just not coming out.
And so the stakes today are very high.
Yes.
Your Honor, it means a lot because Tonia would be my only surviving child. I lost my son, and they were awful close.
Yes.
They were closer than me and her.
Really?
I was very close to him.
Did you look at him and say, you know, does he look like my brother? Is this really my brother? Or did you just accept him in your life as Mr. Feagin's son and...
I just accepted him in his life. I've loved him. I loved him. Not just I've just lost Mr. Feagin's son, I lost my brother too, here 2 years ago. So now there's no more boys in our family.
My son was crazy about her. He really, that's the closest I ever seen him with anyone that I knew of, his friends or anyone. He loved her. He really did.
And I loved him.
Well, I think the only way we can figure out how to move forward is to get the results. Are you ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Oh, Lord,
Ron,
yes.
the envelope, please.
Your Honor.
I know this
Already
is
know.
emotional. If you'd like to take a seat, you're welcome. I know this is a very difficult day.
I already know. In my heart, I know she's mine.
In the case of Feagin versus Pinkston, when it comes to 43-year-old Tonia Pinkston, Mr. Feagin,
Yes,
you
yes.
are not her
Oh, my
father.
God.
Oh, Lord, no.
Oh,
Oh, no. No. Tonia. Oh, no. Oh, Tonia. Lord, have mercy, Jesus. No.
Are you all right, Tonia?
this is something
I can't believe this.
that need to be known. And
Yes. This
It
is
is. It is. I know this was not the news you wanted, Mr. Feagin.
Oh, no.
I know for you, Miss Pinkston, this has been years. This has been for almost 30 years. You've had to endure this level of confusion.
Tonia, I'm so sorry, sweetheart.
And I hope you understand, Miss Pinkston, that I don't believe they were trying to hurt you by telling you. I think your mother truly believed Mr. Feagin was your biological father.
Lifetime of torture for nothing.
Mr. Feagin, you look absolutely shocked.
I am, because I always believed it.
Where do we go from here?
Together. Stay. I'm so sorry.
Ms. Johnson, you claim the defendant who has a child with your first cousin is your son, Kiaris's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you say Mr. Milford's done nothing for Kiaris, and you've dragged him to court to prove he is the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Milford, you don't believe Mr. Johnson is your son. Your claim is that you perform police actions with air defense artillery while in the Army, which exposed you to radiation, making it impossible for you to have more children. Am I correct?
Yes.
So, Ms. Johnson, what has Mr. Milford done for your son?
He's done nothing for my son, Your Honor. He didn't come to the hospital.
Nothing?
Nothing at all.
Explain.
He never came to the hospital when my son was born. Anything I needed for my son, Mr. Milford never provided anything. Mr. Milford only came by to see me. He didn't come see my son.
26 years old?
26 years old. I have 2 sons by Mr. Milford.
Your Honor, she never told me she was pregnant.
I did.
She always told me she had a tumor.
I'm sleeping with you. How would you think it's a tumor?
She told me she had a tumor.
How would you think it's a tumor if
She
I'm
said-
sleeping with you
I
the
mean,
whole
she-
time?
Did you
Now-
know at this point that he had a child with your cousin as well?
Yes, I did.
At what point did you find out you were pregnant?
I actually knew I was pregnant. I didn't tell anybody.
When?
She told
I
me
was
it
like
a
5
tumor.
months, 5 or 6 months.
So when you found out you were pregnant, he says you told him it was a tumor.
No, that never happened. I hadn't even been to the
Lord.
doctor, so how can I say it's a tumor when I didn't
She
go to the
never
doctor?
gave me. She never told me when the birthdays would come in. When she never gave me a sonogram. What she's saying just don't add up.
So, Miss Johnson, you get pregnant. Do you say to him, Dwayne, Mr. Milford, I have something to tell you. I'm pregnant. Do you ever have a conversation?
Yes, I did.
And how did that
He kept
conversation
asking
go?
me, was I pregnant? But he said, I told him it was a tumor. But why are you asking me if I'm pregnant if you think I have a tumor?
Because I figure you lying.
So when he asked you, what did you say?
At first, I told him no.
Okay.
But then I told him, yes, I was pregnant.
Why did you tell him no at first?
Because I was scared. I was young. I was scared. I already had 2 children. I didn't want to be pregnant again. I've been actually dating Dwayne since I was 17 with my second son, which is not his. I ended up getting pregnant with Kiaris later.
Now, Mr. Milford, when she finally
She told me she
you,
was 7 months pregnant when she told me.
so she said, and I'm 7 months.
Yeah.
At that moment, did you have instant doubt, or did you think,
It was
well,
instant
maybe...
doubt. I snuck to her house and knocked on the door.
So what, you a ninja?
Her sister knocked. Her sister answered the door. Her sister 1 year younger than her. I said, what's saying that? She said, she in the back room. I said, in the back room with who? With a man.
Yeah, I slept with other
So,
people. Sure, I did.
I said, well, just tell her that man must be the baby daddy.
And nobody
And I
ever,
went on
because
about
that
my
conversation
business.
never happened. That never
And I
happened.
went on about my business.
He come to my house and asked me, could he see his son?
Oh, wait, back up. When you saw him, did you say, oh, wow, that could be my son?
No.
Oh, you didn't? But you used to sit and rock him and hold him
mean-
for hours? Yeah.
No, I had
yeah. The way you came to my house.
Custody of 2 children.
How did I get
by
pregnant with
another lady.
Kimande if I didn't still won't sleeping with you? You came
You
to
was
my
not
house.
sleeping with me then.
All right,
We
Ms.
did.
Johnson, Mr. Milford, I want to hear from Kiaris. Mr. Johnson, I feel for you sitting here. I mean, listening to this go back and forth. You've been hearing this all your life. This has been the confusion you've lived in for 26 years.
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you told that this man was your father?
At one point I was, but then I was told he wasn't.
You were.
Yes. I just don't feel I should be going through this because I didn't ask to be here. And I don't know,
Go
I'm
ahead,
real
hon.
hurt right now because I wish I did have a daddy because I probably wouldn't been in much trouble as I was and homeless at times and getting taken away and being in group homes. Maybe if he was around, maybe some of that stuff wouldn't happen to me, but he didn't really try to be around, not that I seen.
Ms. Johnson, at one point, Kiara says that you told him that Mr. Milford was not his father.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, because he told me if he couldn't be in my life, he couldn't do anything for my kids. This is how it's like I had to sleep with him to get him to do anything.
Lord.
So yeah, I didn't want him to be the father, but I know he is. So he wasn't around.
Your Honor.
Mr. Milford?
Yes, look, my mother told me to get this straight before she died. So I went down to the DNA place. She didn't show up. This the
It
third
never
time.
happened.
The
When did that
third
happen?
time.
When did that happen?
The third time he showed up with the kids and got to arguing with the DNA people. And
That never happened.
And they ran out the door.
When I
You-
lived in the
oh my-
county, I was in another relationship, so I was not worried about you.
Wait a minute. You went to try to submit for a DNA test
I did
3 times.
submit it 3 times.
Ms.
On a
Johnson,
court
you're
order.
saying that
It
never
happened.
happened?
It was
When
a
I lived
court
in
order
the
for
county, I
Richmond.
was in another relationship, and he was not my focus. My children were my focus.
So you're saying you never even knew about
I
it?
never knew anything
Your
about
Honor,
it.
Your Honor, only time I really
But if
see-
you telling me you can't have kids, why are you trying to do DNA tests if you know for a fact you
Because
can't
you
have
shouldn't
children?
be telling children them lies like that.
Why?
Look, Your Honor,
Why not? I was still sleeping with
every
you.
time I
That's
look,
the point.
when she come around, she needed lights on or water on or whatever.
And you
That's
never
the
had the
only
money.
time. I didn't. I used to cut them on.
Yeah, you cut them on. You never gave
Yeah.
me any money to do
Oh, I
anything.
mean, that's all
and
I
I
could
was
do.
still sleeping with you then, so
I
what
would
are you
do that for
saying?
anybody that had children.
I was
I-
still
you don't
sleeping with you
understand
then.
Let me tell you something, Your Honor. I've been shooting blanks since about 1986. I ain't had no more children. Yeah.
We have 2 children.
I ain't got nothing. There's no other.
We have 2
no
children.
other
You were
children
not sleeping blank.
from since
So
I left the military.
you
You have
believe
2
you're
children.
sterile. Please explain to me.
I worked in air defense artillery in the military underneath radars. And I got out 84, 83. And I think I was sterile till at least about 89. I was knocking down everything, but nothing coming back. Nobody else had babies. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
If you slept with them as much as you slept with me, it might have happened.
You're saying you were exposed to radiation,
Yes, I was.
which
Overseas.
you believe caused you to be sterile.
Right. I hadn't
All
used
right.
anything. Nobody else came back with nothing. And her own cousins told me that I couldn't be the daddy. So
All right. At this time, the court would like to call an independent witness, Ms. Shavella Jones. Jerome, would you please escort her into the courtroom?
I'm going to bring you up to the witness stand right by the judge.
Ms. Jones, welcome. Thank you for being here. What do you know about this situation? How are you related to what's going on here?
I had a baby by him first. I dated him all the way through school. I don't understand how they even went there.
Because Ms. Johnson is
My first cousin.
your first cousin.
Correct.
Do you believe he's Kiaris's father?
Well, no,
You don't.
no, I don't. She was kind of like a round-away girl, okay?
When you say she, you mean Ms. Johnson.
Correct. She had already had 2 kids, and then she had him.
So when you say you don't think Mr. Milford is Kiaris's father, do you say that because you know that she was intimate with someone else?
Yeah, probably about 4 or
Yeah,
5 people.
I was.
So, Ms. Johnson, you're admitting that during the
Yeah.
time you were intimate with Mr.
Yes,
Milford.
I'm trying to find somebody to love me, period. I was young. A lot of things had happened in my life, and I wanted somebody to love me. And at the time, this is what he was giving me. He was the one I was consistently sleeping with. I was sleeping with him practically every day.
no.
But now, Ms. Johnson, you do understand, and I know this happened when you were younger, that it's not just about consistency, it's about the window of conception. Meaning, you could sleep with him consistently for a period of time and yet sleep with someone else one time.
Yeah.
And they could still, in fact, be Kiaris's father.
True, but I mean, I slept with him consistently. When I told him I was pregnant, Dwayne actually didn't have no doubt when I finally told him I was pregnant. He was happy. And I said then, this is not going to work. You have a baby by my cousin. We shouldn't even be sleeping together. But he always sugarcoated everything and made it seem like it was okay.
And see, I fought you. It's your fault. It really is. Because
hadn't
you're
seen her in 7
you're
years.
8 years older
I hadn't
than
seen
her.
her in 7
She was a child.
6,
you
7
had
years.
no business
I didn't even
at
know
all.
who she was. Oh, Lord. All you want,
I want you to say it.
was a sugar daddy.
You didn't
You could have had
want to.
anything.
I wouldn't sleep with you, so you wouldn't do nothing for
No,
the kids.
no, you
said
saw-
it point
Mr.
blank.
Milford and Miss Johnson, this could go on forever. I keep giving you all a little leeway to see if maybe we could get somewhere. I still don't understand how one person can go down for a DNA test 3 times. I don't understand why you don't just call and say, hey, they're calling me back in again. You want to all go together so we can get this resolved.
Because it
It's
never
just
happened.
a conversation.
It never happened. We never really talked. All we did was have sex most of the time. That's why.
Mr. Milford, I'd like to hear from your witness. Please stand, ma'am. State your name for the court.
LaBarbara Jones.
Ms. Jones, you are?
I'm the daughter of Shavella Jones and Dwayne Milford.
Do you believe Mr. Johnson is your brother?
I don't know if he's my brother or not. I know he's my cousin and I love him. I know this is my father. I know that this whole mess has made us separate. We used to play together, hang out together. I probably was 10 or 11, maybe like around that age. You know, we all played together. We had a really close bond at that time as cousins. I think I told my mom I didn't like that having to call him brother kept being like forced upon me. We didn't even know really about sex then. How are you telling us about brothers, sisters, cousins? You know, we don't have any idea what to do with that. It's even awkward now as an adult. When I call him my cousin and he calls me a sis. So when I go over there, I never met his girlfriend before, you know, so he's introducing me. He introduced me as his sister. I'm standing there like, I don't know what to say. Like, I'm not gonna correct him, but at the same time, it feels awkward to me because to me, he's my cousin.
And Mr. Johnson, how does this make you feel? I see you standing there, you know, you're trying to acknowledge Miss Jones because that's what you've been told, that this is your sister, and yet she says you're her cousin.
Yes. It's awkward, but I was told she's my sister, so I call her my sister.
She hurt by all of it, but she started the mess anyway because
I started it because your father said something to me.
That's ridiculous.
You shouldn't have.
She should have waited.
She put your father. And Dwayne was the one told me I was doing the wrong thing by separating them because I didn't know what to say.
We were
I never said
cousins.
anything.
We were never separated. That's
So
the
now,
whole
No,
thing.
he said I was not acknowledging who y'all actually were together. And I said, I don't know how to go about this. Just tell him. Now, this is him telling me this.
Did you ever
you
have that
listening to the man
conversation?
that don't even
Mr.
do
Milford,
nothing.
did you ever
Yes,
have that
I did.
conversation? Did you ever have that conversation?
Never.
Yes, you do.
Don't know where you live. You never tell me. I had to find out from somebody else.
But you found a way to
No.
sleep with me. You figured that one out.
No,
It is obvious to me that you slept with this young girl for a very long time. It's also obvious to me that she probably went to you because after dating her cousin, someone she looked up to, then you start looking over at her. She's a young girl, impressionable, ended up in the bed with you. And now every conversation she says you had with her, you stand in court, Mr. Milford, and you say it never happened.
I was working 2 jobs. I never had
No,
time for all this sex. I don't know where all this sex came from.
So
I've
you-
had that much sex. We would have 15 children.
But no, you couldn't have
No, we
done
had
that
2.
because you were
We had
sterile.
2.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It just don't make sense.
No, this is exactly what I'm saying. None of this makes sense. It baffles me how we can be standing here arguing back and forth between the two of you as to what happened and what didn't happen and what's fictional and what's not, when this young man over here is not a piece of fiction. He's a person. The story is exhausting. And he's had to live through this for 26 years.
Yeah, and then you acknowledge him one minute and the next minute you don't.
But Ms. Johnson, you gotta own up to the fact that you tell him that he's his dad one minute, and then when you try to figure out, then you say he's not.
I told my son that.
I think at this point, the past is the past.
Yeah,
What
correct.
has been done has been done. We cannot change it. What we can change today is the confusion that you've had to live with your entire life. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics and they read as follows. I know this is very emotional. If anyone would like to sit down, you're more than welcome. In the case of Johnson versus Milford, when it comes to 26-year-old Kieris Johnson, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Milford, you are not his father.
Thank you.
That's, wow.
I'm sorry, Kieris. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, sir.
Oh.
I'm so sorry, Kieris. Mr. Portis, you and your mother have petitioned the court for a DNA test because you are certain you are not the father of the defendant's daughter, Ava.
Correct.
You say your life has been ruined and need today's paternity results to set the record straight. Is that correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
Ms. Middlebrooks, you say you are tired of the plaintiff's paternity denial, and you and your aunt claim he better step up once these results prove he's Ava's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Portis, explain to the court why today's results are so important.
This started about 2 years ago. I started paying child support, $75 for this baby, and I never knew if she was mine or not. We never took a DNA test. We tried to, but it didn't go through.
Don't you have to get a DNA before you can be put on child support?
We went
You
together.
didn't show up to court twice.
It was once.
So hold on. You paying child support for this baby?
Yes. Thousands of dollars.
But you say you've never had a DNA test.
No.
And that's because you had a court date.
And he missed. He
And you
missed the
missed
court date.
So you were named
And
the
they
father by
established
default.
paternity. Yes.
Yep.
Y- That's how it works.
Yep.
Yes.
You?
True.
But after that happened, we had tried to get it all situated out by trying to get 2 tests done with this court.
I can actually look in my court records and see you had a court date on my docket for last year. Ms. Middlebrooks didn't show up.
No.
Right, because I prefer to do this outside of this. Why do we have to come here for him to finally do a DNA
I went to get
test?
swabbed. I did the whole
So-
thing that I was supposed to do, but she didn't do it.
Why couldn't we do it outside of here?
So tell me about the nature of your relationship with Mr. Portis. Were you boyfriend and girlfriend?
We started talking first and then eventually started dating. It happened fast. So.
At what point did you find out you were pregnant?
A few months later.
But when she got pregnant, we stopped talking. So like we weren't talking at the time that she got pregnant. Like we weren't talking. But when after the fact that she got pregnant, she had hit me up and was like, "Hey, I'm pregnant and be prepared for child support."
We were definitely
and all this
together.
other
We were
stuff.
definitely together.
No,
I
we
called you after I got the text.
No, we weren't, because I found out that she had another boyfriend.
Okay, wait. How did you find out she had another boyfriend?
Because I looked on her Facebook and I seen her with this dude. And I'm like, who is this? And then she like, somebody I used to talk to, but he was still in the picture.
How did you know that?
Because of, after she got pregnant, a letter she sent them.
Wait a minute.
I sent the guy a letter telling him that I was pregnant, letting him know what was going on.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is exactly why young people don't have no business making babies.
I
You can't even tell the story to make no sense.
agree. Right.
Miss Middlebrooks, what was your relationship with this other guy?
We were dating.
When?
Before Brian Portis.
So you dated him before you dated Mr. Portis?
Yes.
But when you met
And
Mr.
then he went away and we broke up.
He went away, you all broke up, then you started dating Mr. Portis?
Yes.
How soon after you and Mr. Portis started dating did you find out you were pregnant?
A month or two later.
A month?
A month or two
Your
later.
Honor, I took her to the hospital. She found out she was like a month pregnant. The other guy that they talking about, a letter did go out to him, and she told him that she was pregnant, and he's not the father. We didn't know anything about this guy here. We only knew about the other guy at the time.
But wait, Miss Middlebrooks, you knew about this guy, Mr. Portis, right?
Yeah.
So why was your first instinct to send a letter to the guy that was away?
When I found out I was pregnant, I called him. He was distant
When was
after
there
he had found out.
when was there a relationship? I mean, when were they?
Did I have intercourse with you? Were I with you? No, I didn't think so. Well, nobody talking to you.
So
I'm talking to you.
Well, I ain't talking to you.
But as a grown woman,
hold on,
ladies.
ladies.
My mom.
Ladies.
I'm not talking
That's
to
why
you
we
right now.
don't. That's why we
Ladies.
don't talk to you. So we don't like you, bro.
Ladies, Mr. Portis, tell me how you found out Miss Middlebrooks was pregnant.
She had told me.
What was your response?
I didn't really believe her at first, honestly.
Why do you think she'd lie?
I don't know.
Unfold your arms.
I don't know, Your Honor. I don't know why she would lie. I didn't believe it at the time.
Now take them out your pocket. So you didn't believe it?
No.
When did it become real?
Well, I pulled up to her. I pulled up to her house one day and I saw that she had a little bump, so I knew it was real.
Oh, so wait.
You don't show at a month or two like that soon.
No, but what I want to understand is, were you at the birth, Mr. Portis?
No, I was not, Your Honor.
He had the opportunity to, but he wanted nothing to do with her.
Did you go to doctor's appointments?
No. He had nothing to do with the pregnancy.
She wasn't communicating with my family at all. She wasn't talking to us or nothing like that. Every time she would talk to us, she would be disrespectful.
Or any of that. Yeah. She was not even
That's the
talking
only
to
time
my
she would
son.
talk to us.
Wow.
She would be disrespectful.
Who was with you
Texting my
at
mom.
the birth? Hold on. Who was with you at the birth?
My ex was. He stepped up.
Oh, wait.
But she
the
wasn't
ex
messing with
was
the
there?
ex, though.
Yes. When I had her, yes, he was there.
So he was away, and then by the time you had the baby, he was home.
Yes.
And he was at the hospital.
Yes.
But you gave
And you
my son
say
an
he
opportunity.
stepped up.
Yes.
What?
But
Your son wanted nothing to do
was
with me
holding
or
her
the pregnancy.
and all that.
You do not know. You're not your son. I'm not
in your
communicating
business,
with you.
but
I'm
I'm
communicating
his
with your
mom.
son.
I'm his mom, though.
You not being truthful.
Right. Be honest.
Be
Tell
honest.
the truth.
What
You
is
not
she
being
not
truthful.
being? Hold on.
You covered your son ass.
Let's get some order. Miss Middlebrooks,
Disrespectful.
I realize that you may not agree with Miss Trent, but you have to understand that when you are dealing with someone who's your elder, right or wrong, just keep your mouth shut.
That doesn't give her.
Hold on. I am going to be very clear. I have not heard her speak badly about you, and if she does, I will correct her as well. You all can disagree on the points, but let's not go there. You're a young girl with a beautiful new baby, and we're here to support that baby and you. Because if we don't get this answer, your child will always live in limbo, not knowing who her father is.
Right.
And it's best we resolve it. And I know, that's why when young girls start popping off like that, I know it's just coming from a place of pain. You're hurt, scared, disappointed, a whole bunch of things. Just be that. This courtroom is about truth, so when you come into this courtroom, just be in your truth. Mr. Portis, what I want to know is your truth. Why did you shrug this off? Why didn't you go to any doctor's appointments? Why weren't you there at the birth? Why?
Her ex that she was dealing with had contacted me on Facebook.
Okay. And what did he say? Now I'm starting to understand what's happening here. What happened?
He was basically saying like, yo, Bryant, Jasmine, does she have you on child support and stuff like that? And I'm like, yeah, she does. She's been having me on child support. He was like, well, that's crazy because I'm taking care of her too. So it's just like an imbalance here.
Okay, so see, this is what I need to know. Y'all done waited all this time to come in here and act like you can't say nothing.
He was in her life, like he was there, like holding her and, you know what I'm saying, having a relationship with her.
But you were the one on child
paying the
support.
child support.
Miss Middlebrooks, I want to come to you, to your aunt. When your niece found out she was pregnant,
Yes.
who did she tell you the father was?
At the time, the only person I knew was the ex.
No, I didn't ask that. That's not what I asked. Who did she say the father was?
She said the ex.
Okay, I already knew that.
Son.
I said the ex.
But I thought it was my son all
No,
along.
hold on.
Now you really
Hold on.
like that?
I could tell by the way you were telling that story that you were trying to be evasive about something.
But
Hold on, don't do the
100%
but
truthful.
yet. All I'm saying is, this is what we need to know so we understand why this paternity question even exists. So when you asked her who the child's father is, she told you the ex.
all of us we known was just the ex.
Was there some point where you told Mr. Portis that he was not the biological father?
No, I never told him he was not the dad, ever.
Did she ever tell you you were not the dad, Mr. Portis?
Yes, Your Honor. She told me that I wasn't the biological father. She told me to stay out their life, don't talk to her, don't be in
I
Ava's
told
life,
you
don't
if
do
you're
none
gonna
of
jump
that.
in and out, you might as well stay away.
Therefore,
I
I stopped talking to them. I don't talk to them. I don't do none of that.
You've never even brought the baby around.
Your Honor,
But she still wanted my ching from me.
Your Honor, this is the thing.
$60 every 2 weeks.
But what I hold on.
75.
Hold on.
150 a month.
I mean,
Get it right.
It's something. He didn't
Girl,
have
that's
like a. He didn't
nothing.
have like
He
a.
done got over 1,000.
Hold
He done
on.
over a stack.
Let's
Come
get
on,
some
bruh.
order. Let's get some order. What I want to understand is, Miss Middlebrooks, if your testimony is you said he was the ex, you said it was the ex's baby, how then did you give his name for child support?
That came later on down the line when she was 1. So
You
they
did
found
the child
out much.
support a year later.
Yeah, they found out much before that he was the dad.
At some point, you came clean.
Yes. Not even long after that.
Right.
So
did you let your ex raise the baby? Ava's too. Is he like he was at the hospital? You let him raise her?
Yes.
Mr. Portis, I want to understand from your vantage point what's happening. She's pregnant. The ex is there. You're just thinking the ex is the child's father. Do you have any contact? Are you calling to check in? What is your relationship at that point? You just completely moved on?
Honestly, we weren't talking. She told me to stop talking to her, don't talk to them,
And you knew
stay
nothing
away.
until you got that summons, which is a year after Ava was born.
Correct.
So this child you've been paying child support for.
Only seen her 4 times in my life.
And I've never seen the baby. But I'm supposed to step up and be a grandmother.
I didn't ask you to step up. I want Brian to
You
the DNA test.
you messaged my phone talking about
What do I
you're
need
some
you
type
to
of
step
grandma
up
and
for?
this and that
What
and
do
the
I
other.
need? Yes, because you're not encouraging him to get the DNA
I've never
test
even
done.
seen.
As his mother, you should encourage him to get the test done.
I did.
Not continue to.
You backed out.
I did.
You
What
didn't
you
encourage
mean?
my
You
son.
backed out.
Oh, Lord.
Your Honor, this is the thing.
Girl.
If he was put on child support, why you didn't just go back to the courts, file the paperwork, and take her to court?
But do you understand, Ms. Middlebrooks, when you didn't show up to court, whether you wanted to do it or not, that just fueled his doubt even further.
Yes,
that
I
she's
understand.
trying to avoid something. She's got something to hide.
I understand.
She doesn't want to come clean.
I understand.
It
Just like
just
when he
kept
didn't show
the
up to child support
wheels.
court.
I'm sorry?
Just like when he didn't show up to child support court. That's me you scared, you running. That's how I felt.
No, I wasn't
running. He
Your
was
Honor, can I
at
say something?
work. Wasn't
You
running.
can't call
Me
off,
not being
you can't call off
experienced,
for work for
me,
one
me
day.
not being experienced with court and everything like that.
I was telling my
I didn't
son
know that
to
I was
go
going to be
to
defaulted
court,
as the dad if I
'cause
didn't
that
go.
was what was
I was
gonna
in training.
happen.
I was in training for management, and I didn't know that, like, you know what I'm saying, if I was to miss court, it was going to be this big of a situation.
Oh, yes.
Now I know.
Yes.
But I was inexperienced with all this stuff that was going on at the time.
This is exactly why I tell people you're making babies, you got to understand
Correct.
the system.
Yeah, correct.
So we're here now with all of this drama. There's still a very real possibility you're Ava's father.
Yes.
And if you're not, you may not be able to get yourself off child support because you may have waited too long. That is the court's decision. And the court will follow what is in the best interest of the child. Sometimes we have to learn lessons the hard way.
You're right, Your Honor.
But that doesn't change the fact that we're here now because we don't know for certain who Ava's biological father is. This thing with the ex is a little bit too close for comfort for me. I've heard many a story. And wherever I hear 1 to 2 months, that's a window for error. Jerome, I'm ready. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics and they read as follows. In the case of Portis versus Middlebrooks, when it comes to 2-year-old Ava Middlebrooks, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Portis, you are the father.
I told you.
You are Ava's father.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That is your beautiful little girl.
Appreciate it.
What do you feel, Miss Middlebrooks? Can you tell me?
Now she knows. Now she knows.